Okay, I am Vaishali Sitaram Chakapret from University of Georgia, Devil. I am going to explain event handling. This is the fourth unit from real to third sem. Okay. Event handling in Java. An event is a change in the state of the object triggered by some action such as clicking the button, moving the cursor, pressing key on the keyboard, scrolling the page, etc. In Java. The Java EW2 event package provides various event classes to handle this action. Okay, in general, event handling is the change in the state of the object from one state. When we change from one state to the other state, then we are creating the event to the computer. Okay, whatever we do, like we when we press the key or when we move the cursor, like I'm moving the cursor on the screen, that it means that currently cursor is here on this place. When I move over here, that means I'm doing is I'm changing from one state to the other state. This is called as the event. Okay, or scrolling, or currently I'm changing slide from one slide to the other slide. Those are called as the events. To handle this event for compiler to make it understand that I'm going to handle the event. For that, we have to use the package called as a Java AWT event. Okay. Next is what? Classification of events. Okay. Classification. Why we have to use this event handling to make this program interactive and responsive to user action. That means when we don't use the event in the uh, program, then user may not have the responsive. Okay, currently I am sharing the event. If suppose I am sharing the sharing the slides. If I don't change those slides, then it does not make the sense of this lecture. For that, make it a interactive and more understandable, we have to use the event handling in Java. The in Java, event have classified into two types. Those are called as a foreground event and background event. Foreground event means events which are handled by seeing the applications on the screen by bare eyes. That is called as the button, scroll bars, or moving the cursor. Okay, with this moving the cursor, or I'm changing the slides. That means whatever I'm doing on the screen, that uh, which are kept it to myself or display to me, or I can see them with the bare eyes. Those are called as a foreground. Background events means events handled by the background developers. Those that means interrupt handling or operating system failure or database management system. There we use the we fetch the data from the database, but we cannot see those changes in the databases. Those are called as background events. Okay, event handling mechanism. There are various, to handle this event, we have to follow one procedure. Then only whatever program we do in Java, we have to follow some procedure. For event handling also, while writing the program, we have to follow some mechanism. Those mechanisms are, we have to know the source, okay, then listeners. Okay, for why we have to need the source? For each and every source, we have the different kind of the listeners. Suppose we have the sources are like hmm, button, checkboxes, IDs, menu item. These are the sources. But working of these sources are different. For that, we need the different listeners. Again, listeners are the interfaces. Okay, those are responsible for handling those events. Whatever listeners are used for handling the event generated from the source, each of these listeners represent the interfaces that are responsible for handling the events. Okay, basic components of the event handling. First, we have to use the event object that describes the change in the state, event source, from where events is happening, component that generates the event. For example, button or mouse or scroll bar or windows. Event listener interfaces that receives and processes the events. Why we need the event listener? To receive the events, okay, and process that events. Delegation event model consists of sources and listeners. Okay, register the source with the listener. To handle this event, we have to register the sources with the listeners. For example, to handle the event, the source must register with the listener. Java provides the specific method for registering the listener based on the type of the event. Syntax for it is the add type listener. That means if I want to add, currently I want to add the window listener, then I have to add window listeners. Okay, for example, add key listener for key event, add action listener for action event. Flow of this event handling is, first we have to identify the source, then we have to give the event object, then we have to register them with the listeners interfaces. Okay, event class and their descriptions. I'm giving some example about the event classes and what those classes going to handle. Okay, action event. Action event generated by the button and menu item. When souls are like a button and menu item, then we have to use the action event class. When we want to use the mouse actions, then we have to use the mouse event. When we want to use the keyboard inputs, then we have to use the key event class. Okay, when we have to handle the window action, then we have to use the window event class. For that, we need different kind of interfaces and the methods. What is the interface? Interface consists only the definition of the that particular class. Then we have, when we implement that interface, then we have to implement their definition as well. For action listener, we have the method action perform. For mouse listener, have the mouse click, mouse drag, mouse release, like that. Different methods they have provided. For key listeners, we have the different methods like a key press, key release, key type. Okay, these kind of methods we have in key listeners. For window listener, we have the window closing, window open, or window minimize, like that. We have the methods in that particular interfaces. Steps to handle the handle and events. First step is to implement the listener interface. Second step is to register the listener with the component. Implement the in first event, when we use the implement the listener interface. Suppose I want to implement the action listener, then I have to implement with my existing class. I have to implement the uh, action event. Okay. Then to register that listener, I have to add action listener. Then to override the required method. For that, in that I have only one method, like a action perform. I have to override that method in that particular class. Now I am giving the example. Here I am using the source like a button. Button B is equal to new button. For that, I have given the name for that button is a click. Okay, when I click on that button, then message should pop up like button click. For that, I have to first I have used the event like a button. Then I have registered by using b dot action listener. It is the action listener register. Action listener interface registration is there of action class. Okay, action listener class. In that, I have to, now I am overriding the method of that particular class, like a public void action perform is the method of that action listener. Okay, there I have to pop up the message like a button click here. Next is the adapter classes. Adapter classes provide the default implementation of listener interface. Useful when not all the methods need to be override. Mouse adapter, key adapter, and window adapter. Why we need the adapter classes? The listeners are all the interfaces. Those provide the n number of method. Okay, method definition. In our when I want to implement the application, then I don't need all the methods. every time in all the programs. When suppose I want to implement the mouse listener, there I have the 5 different methods like mouse press, mouse release, mouse move, okay, mouse move, mouse drag, drop, like that. I have the different mouse motion listeners are also there. But in my particular application, I want to use only one method like mouse press. Then I have to use the adapter classes. Inner classes in event handling. Okay. Listeners can be defined as named inner classes and anonymous inner classes. Simplified code. It simplifies the code for specially one-time use. Here, summary of this particular topic is I am going to give the introduction to the event handling. As far as I have explained all the basic concept in the event handling, in that event handling is nothing but what it why we have to use the event handling. Event handling enables the interactive GUI, use the event source listener architecture, use the appropriate event classes and listener interfaces, adapter and event inner classes help to simplify the code. Okay, here event handling is nothing but I am going to summarize this particular unit or whatever session, first session. Here, what is the first? We have seen the event handling definition. Event handling is nothing but what? Changing the state from one state to the another state. Why we are handling this event? To make a interactive GUI. Okay. For that, what we need? Event source and listeners. Again, we use for that event source and listener, we use the appropriate event classes and listener interfaces. Again, for each and listener interfaces, just create the definitions and methods. In that, only particular methods we want to implement, then we use the adapter classes and inner classes. Okay. Why we use the adapter classes and interfaces? To simplify the code. Okay. Thank you.